so it's not for kids.
Do we want to talk about Habanero Gate?
Habanero Gate, sure, yeah.
I'm very open about shitting on you in this pod.
Oh, okay.
When you do like kind of wild shit. So I have to like be able to take it if I can dish it out, right?
Yeah, you know what? Actually, let me lead on this a little bit. This weekend, you were going a little crazy with it and low-key getting on my nerves. And here's why I was getting on my nerves, right? Because you just like,
yeah.
You just hop in the Discord and go, hey, we should watch Jackass and eat super spicy pizza tonight. And then most people reacted to that by being like, sure. There were definitely like a couple people that were like, why Jackass? Like no one, It's not like something that we collectively share a ton of interest in.
Yeah.
The follow-up to that was like no plan whatsoever. And I was like, what are you expecting would happen? Like low-key, sometimes the group, they need direction.
Yeah.
Someone needs to take charge a little bit if you want to do something. Like, if you want to have a night of it, you just threw this out there, and then you were like, and we're winging it every step of the way.
Well, you know that normally I'm good about, like, shepherding it. I'll throw something out, but then, like, we have a plan. There's kind of a wrench in everything, which is that, like, I forgot this was also the weekend that we were going to have relatives over.
Right, yeah. All your in-laws.
It became like chaos. When am I recording the pod? When are we actually doing this plan? Oh, shoot, I haven't actually sent out a follow-up. Oh, well, let's just wing it. So,
yeah.
Definitely not on my A game. I will acknowledge.
Okay. At least you recognize that. But I was like, what is he expecting here? You didn't even look up the show times till I was asking you about it. And you're like, there's one at 4:30 and one at 10 p.m. And I'm like, oh, okay. You
were like, when are we seeing it? And I was like, around 6. And then I like Googled it. No show times till 10 p.m. And I was like, oh, shit.
It almost feels like a me move.
I think the whole thing was a you move, and it was very bizarre.
Yeah.
It even got to a point where I was like, and we'll just record the episode then too. And you were like, when are we recording the episode? We're eating pizza, we're seeing Jackass, and we're playing board games. Like, how are we going to do that all after 6 p.m. on a Friday?
Yeah, we're just going to do it in the theater lobby, like, and live from Regal Edwards.
And then I ended up being 3 hours late on top of that.
Yeah, that was super epic as well. So I guess in a way you were channeling the spirit of Jackass, I think.
Yeah.
You were Steve-O maxing, I would say, maybe.
Yes. Steve-O strikes me as someone that's going to do like crazy shit but shows up on time.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I feel like Johnny Knoxville's the pain in the ass, honestly. Welcome to Shelf Stable, a board gaming podcast about talking about Steve-O and how disorganized I was for 1 week.
You don't even want to get into the story about the pizza, I assume, because you're like, no, we got to keep this tight.
I'll keep it real short, okay?
Okay.
We didn't record the podcast. I barely played board games. We did have the habanero pizza. I ate my entire slice, even though people said you don't need to do that. It was very spicy. I ate 5 little cups of ice cream. You know those like cups that you get at like end of the school year kind of gathering?
The whole time you looked like someone was pricking your balls with like a tack or something.
I was very in pain.
You were not having a good time.
We were all in pain, but like I was very in pain.
You chucked Pepto-Bismol like proactively. You took some prophylactic
No,
Pepto.
That's smart. Pepto, slice of pizza, 5 things of ice cream. And then Tom just went like, are you sure you want to eat that much ice cream? And I was like, I don't know. 10 minutes later, I was like, I don't feel so good. And I just like projectile vomited it all in like a trash can. Fortunately, I made it to the trash can. And then that was just like me in a fetal position on the bathroom floor in the dark. One of our other friends was like, you okay, buddy? And I was like, I'll be okay. We didn't go see the movie after that. Because poor little Kenny was not feeling up for it anymore.
The timing with which you were like throwing up was like right when we would have been like getting into the theater.
Yeah. I can still make it. And everybody's like, bro, you gotta lie down. You look like a ghost. But anyway, welcome to Shelf Stable, a podcast celebrating board games that have stood the test of time. I'm your host, Kenny Katayama, fully recovered.
And I'm the other host, Tom Bowers. Today, the feature topic is 2 green, 1 red. That's what I'm calling it anyway.
2 greens, Jackass, board games, and 1 red habanero pizza.
Before we talk about that, we'll just talk about some of the things we've been playing recently. Kenny, what have you been playing recently?
Tom, I've been playing Coal Baron from 2013, designed by Kramer Kiesling, Michael Kiesling, and Wolfgang Kramer. The version we played was the original, which I think was R&R Games. There's a more recent version that has a dude with a crazy mustache on the cover. Coal Baron is like efficiency the game. Mm-hmm. You know, you play a lot of Euros, you're like, oh, this has like an efficiency puzzle where you're like trying to make sure your actions get the most value out of them. But then there's also like a tableau, or you're like kind of building up things, or you have a general strategy and things like that. Coal Baron's like, no, let's just do efficiency. There's no progression. There's very little even like building out an end game goal. It really is like, I have these contracts. How do I fulfill these contracts as fast as possible with the least stuff so I can move on to the next ones and just basically squeeze out more than my opponents? And all you're doing is like moving this little elevator down into the mines to move coal and different resources into the elevator to bring them back up, to drop them into these, shipments, and then sending those shipments out. And then to take these different actions, you're doing a sort of worker placement where you can go anywhere, but the cost of the worker placement actions becomes more expensive after people have already done them. So that's another efficiency thing. You know, you get fewer actions the more you do the desirable ones repeated. That's it. Manage your worker actions as efficiently as possible. Manage moving that mine shaft as efficiently as possible, and go. Deliver that coal. It was fun. I honestly struggle to really say either good or bad things about this game. I would play it again, but usually I try to have either something funny or something insightful about how the games work. And I think the insightful thing about this game is just how little I have to contribute about it. This is going to sound like I didn't like it, but I did like it. But I just feel like there's almost a voidness when it comes to criticism of this game, because it's like so to the point about what it's doing that I feel like in just describing the rules of the game and the general premise of the game, I've already given you the insight you need into whether you like it or not. If you're coming out of this and you're like, I wish there was more, then you probably won't like it that much. If you're like, that is my jam, then you will like it. I almost feel like I prefer games that have a shitty experience but have more story to them than this kind of game. Personally, I'd rather play a bad game that I can talk about with my friends and, or just like as we're playing it, than a game that I feel like has been like very cleanly, efficiently put together, but like it's not also giving me praise.
It sounds like you almost could just give it a number rating, even though it's like not normally something we do. Maybe that would better describe your feelings.
It's like a very 6 out of 10.
Well, that was Coal Baron from 2013. But speaking of 6 out of 10s, I recently replayed for, I don't even know, like the 10th time, Machi Koro from 2012 originally.
Yeah, that's a good segue.
Thank you. This is designed by Masao Suganuma and published by Pandasaurus and or IDW, depends on which version you have. I think Pandasaurus is the newer publisher, right? Machi Koro it's very interesting to me because this game, I feel like, occupied a space on par with things like Ticket to Ride and like Catan for a minute. And I think it kind of still does. You'll still find it at Target every time kind of game. But I'm not sure if that's totally true. It just feels like that.
I think you're right. I think it feels that way, but I'm not actually convinced that's the case.
That said, the last time I played this, and I think I talked about it on the show, I think I came away from it saying something along the lines of like, it's not as bad as I remembered. Because this game suffers from the same thing that people love to complain about with Catan, which is that if you roll the dice and your number doesn't come up, you just sit there like, well, cool turn, I guess. And then it keeps going, right? And we've kind of like lauded Catan in spite of that by saying that like, well, yeah, if you just sort of like limit player negotiation to a reasonable extent, it moves so fast that like you're rolling the dice frequently enough, something's going to come up for you and you're going to be able to make something out of it if you have at least a semblance of like what to do strategically in Catan. In a sense, Machi Koro is similar, but playing this again, it was noticeable because one of the players that I was playing it with has not played it, I don't think, ever before, and in general not played a ton of board games, was like a stark reminder that this type of game really punishes the inexperienced player, and I don't even understand like why they would come back to it. Half the time they roll the die on their turn and like get nothing for it, and then if they aren't buying the right types of buildings, they aren't getting things on other players' turns either. And they're just sitting there like, what is my life? While you're just, going off and ending the game.
This is kind of the curse of games that are not wholly interactive, except for a passive interactivity. The player disparity becomes a big problem. You as the new player end up feeling so inferior to everyone else around the table. And that can be like a little uncomfortable.
Absolutely. And I think like I sort of like this game relative to my old self in spite of that. It's just that is like a huge flaw for this. But the game as designed, like without doing any variant on it, it also is a little bit samey. You pretty much are just like playing the same thing on rails. And I don't think there's much sense in doing a lot of variation because you don't need to do anything crazy to break parity, even in like a 1v1 game.
Were you doing the Dominion market or were you doing the like river of cards?
Just the Dominion stock, because that's how it was designed. It was like just lay all the fucking cards out and you can buy any of them if you have the money. I am more interested to try the variants, which I think as of the 5th edition, which is the version we have, you can take a gamble on things and hope it pays off by getting the cards that, combo with what you bought, and it makes it more tactical. I think it could be more fun, but at the end of the day, I don't know if it would actually elevate the fun of Machi Koro by that much. Space is the game that I think kills Machi Koro, in my opinion, and that's my hot take for this week.
I do think Space Base is more interesting than Machi Koro. I am not like privy to playing either, though. Catan really benefits from having the exchanges and having just more dynamic gameplay across different people as you're affecting the same central board. Yeah. But again, that's just like a preference thing. I very much prefer more interactive games. And if I'm going to play something that's not particularly interactive, with the exception of a few cards or abilities, I'd much rather play Dominion, because the reason Dominion works and Machi Koro doesn't in this fixed state space is because there's so many different cards in Dominion. And because once everybody's grokked what they're going for, the game can go really fast. Whereas like Machi Koro, you still got to roll the dice. And sometimes just it'll randomly take longer.
Yeah, you could literally have a game of Machi Koro where you could basically have 3 rounds in a row where just nobody received any money and no one took a turn. That's Machi Koro from 2012.
All right, Tom, speaking of chucking dice all the time, we're going to be talking about Heroscape from 2004. Heroscape has had a bit of a revival. It went through a crazy journey of many people trying to pick it back up and get it running again, and finally landed with, I believe, Renegade. If you want Heroscape, the old stuff is really hard to get, but the new stuff is pretty easy, and it's just the same kind of idea. Heroscape is a miniatures game designed by Stephen Baker, Rob Daviau, and Craig Van Ness, originally published by Hasbro. It was marketed to children. It was sold in a lot of the big stores. A modular Lego-styled hex building terrain, so you can make your own battlefield. And then it had pre-painted minis, and the theme is kind of like things from all across different planar dimensions and timelines are all being teleported to a big battlefield where they're fighting. So you have aliens, you have historical figures, you have fantasy creatures, you basically got it all. The thing with Heroscape that transcended its original intent was that the game was good. Because like, I think a lot of kids bought this so they could just play with little figurines and build their own terrain. Mm-hmm. But then on top of that, it had a really, really good bare bones for kids rule system. And on top of that, it had the advanced rules where you flipped all of the characters' profile cards around. And then they actually had abilities and different stats and things like that. And you played the full game, which had like engagement and height advantage and line of sight and all these other things that you typically have in a minis fighting game, while still being very, very approachable. I think the intent with this was, okay, the kid buys it when they're like 8 to 10-ish, and then when they're 9 to 12-ish, they start playing the more advanced games with the stuff they already had. I don't know if that ever actually played out that way. I know that Heroscape was generally pretty popular, at least in its first wave. But like as far as I can tell, that was kind of the trajectory that I had with the game. At first, I was just building stuff. Then I was playing the simple game with my friends, and then I played the advanced. And so there's definitely some nostalgia here, but I think like this game still holds up. I was like excited to play it again and surprised at how smooth it is. It doesn't feel like a reductive miniature battler game. It feels on par with something like Memoir 44 or even like Queen's Gambit that we talked about recently. The reason it works is that it doesn't get caught up in trying to emulate everything, but it also doesn't throw away anything for the sake of simplicity. It's that perfect fine line. I'm getting more and more respect for Rob Daviau, and I don't know how much he was involved in this one, but just I feel like when it comes to I just want to do like beer and pretzels, chuck a bunch of dice and fight and, you know, feel like I'm playing an old school thematic American game, I think Rob Daviau does a really good job. Whether it be like the Unmatched system or like its predecessor, Epic Duels, or like we talked about Queen's Gambit, now we're talking about this. Even something like Keys to the Kingdom, when Rob Daviau did the remake of that. I think he's very good at making just a fun time where you're not really having to think too hard, but you're still enjoying it. Do I ever think his games are like compelling, you know, like I'm going to study them and it's like intricate? No, but like, I don't think that's the intent either. To me, I compare it to like a really good action movie. It doesn't have to necessarily be high art, but I still can think it's a really good film. Yeah, I was very delighted playing this game of Heroscape and just reminding myself of how much cleverness there is in how concise it is as a board game.
It's interesting to me that there is a much more findable, like an affordable version of this called Magic Arena of the Planeswalkers. Like it's a Magic the Gathering re-theme of Heroscape. As far as I would know,
it's a little bit different. There's one minor difference, which is that you actually have cards that can summon spells, and it's more of a one-on-one game where you can summon like minions versus you have an army of figures. But other than that, yeah, the rules are mechanically very similar. I think the biggest difference and the reason that the Magic one has not hit it off is because of the terrain. That terrain is so desirable and it enhances the game so much.
I see.
Because the Magic one is just cardboard hex pieces that get like puzzle pieced together.
Oh, yeah, okay. And whereas the original Heroscape is these like plastic chunky bits that fit together in really neat ways. But I guess I was just pointing that out as a way that people could theoretically get a hold of like the pieces and like get an approximate understanding of the game that you're talking about, but I guess it wouldn't be completely the same thing.
It's funny how similar they are in rule set and how little I like the Magic one compared to Heroscape.
Yeah, that is funny.
And it might be nostalgia too.
Yeah, it seems like that's a bit of a common thread because their ratings are like an entire point apart.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's Heroscape from 2004. All right, Kenny, well, remember 2004, because I remember our trip.
Oh, good segue.
From 2019. Remember our trip. This is designed by Daryl Chow and the collective known as Saashi. Saashi is a husband and wife collective, as I understand it, and this is published by Saashi and Saashi. So it's all in the name. You might remember me talking about Saashi and Saashi when I talked about Photograph, which is another game by them. The thing that their games have in common is this very distinctive art style by Takako Takarai. Simple, it's not exactly pastel, but it invokes an almost like Mondrian if he was willing to do curves and figures, right? Like get rid of the squares and go to
that's
like
a good
curves
description.
and figures.
High contrast colors, but there's only a palette of like 5 or 6 colors that are used for everything. Cartoon-ish characters.
It feels almost like a good version of what you see with like corporate logo stuff. Like when you go to Google's 404 page and you just see like these abstract humanoid shapes. It's almost like that. It has a clear identity. unlike the corpo art.
It has a lot of heart.
Yeah, exactly. It makes me think of this documentary I saw of an artist from Canada. The film is called Machi, and it's about Aisling Walsh. Remember our trip? We've heard about the art style at length at this point. So what's the game? Sort of polyomino game, except that you aren't actually pulling out and drawing polyominoes themselves. You're drawing these little circles out of a bag at random, and then you're essentially drafting them. And then the pattern that you have to place these circles in on your board is defined for you by a card that has some sort of pattern to it, basically. And so every circle you place has to be oriented in relation to the others according to this predefined shape. And then what happens is when you've created a set of circles that is large enough to turn into a tile, the tile becomes a memory that all the players share in a central board. The other players can try to match that same tile so that they remember the same things that you do, and that will get them more points if they can. But oftentimes they'll have already broken the symmetry because of the way in which these little circles had come out. So more likely, they're going to be trying to build their own tiles and create things in the shared memory space that are going to frustrate you. It's kind of genius because it's the first time, at least that I've seen, that's like a polyomino game, think like Patchwork, essentially, except that you have this highly interactive deal in the center. You're actively working to, at least on some level, like fuck up your opponent, but you're also trying to match what they've already placed. Very cool design.
Very cool.
I really was impressed with this one. I mean, it's all spatial puzzling. It feels more like Tiny Towns, I suppose, but it's even more highly interactive than that. And
that's good.
It's like Tiny Towns that you couldn't play solo, I suppose, which is neat. It's really, really cool design.
Yeah, I still haven't played any Saashi games, so you make me more and more curious every time.
I think this one would impress you the most, if I had to guess. Okay. I might be overselling it a little bit. You may still find the actual game loop not all that interesting, but if you like Tiny Towns...
I do like Tiny Towns.
Yeah, I think this is hitting a very similar vein with a much more interesting result.
Just remember our trip.
100 games to play before you die.
Okay, it's time to talk about the 100 games that you're required by law to play before you turn 100 years old and or die, whichever comes first. Game number 79 on that list is Warhammer 40K, specifically the 4th edition from 2004, designed by Andy Chambers, Pete Haines, Jervis Johnson, and Rick Priestley, published and owned by Games Workshop. Kenny, why is this on the list?
Yeah, Warhammer 40K. Have you ever heard this one? Have you ever heard of this game?
I have heard of it.
So a lot of designers, I would say the key person that is associated with 40K would be Rick Priestley. You let me know if I'm misrepresenting it based on 4th edition. They're the 40K person, you know, the same way that Gary Gygax is the D&D person or Richard Garfield is the Magic person. 40K is a minis game. And I really struggled with putting 40K on. There's a few reasons why, right? There's a lot of great minis games out there, and some that many would consider better than 40K. There's also games that are simpler than 40K that can give you the minis experience. However, the reason it ultimately landed here versus, I mean, like even like Heroscape, right? Or versus a game of similar gravity, but maybe less known, such as like Infinity. Infinity is an excellent game. The reason 40K is here is because of its impact on the tabletop hobby, as well as its accessibility when it comes to player base. The tricky thing with putting something like Infinity on a 100 games to play list is that we'll be saying, yeah, you should get into Infinity. Nobody has stuff for you to borrow. Nobody's playing it anymore.
Right.
I guess take it with a grain of salt. The reason we have 40K on here is because it's the one that you are guaranteed able to experience, probably just by borrowing or playing with somebody who already has their stuff. Think of it like when we talked about Magic. It is absolutely not the one that I would recommend from a gameplay perspective. That's where I'm landing.
Interesting. Yeah, it's like simultaneously the most accessible in terms of literally accessing the game pieces.
Yeah.
Simultaneously not the most beginner-friendly experience.
Whereas I feel like Magic is still great to play, I think 40K is like a pretty bad entry, but it is the one that you're going to have access to. So it's like, anyway. Okay, we've talked too much about this. What is 40K? What are these miniature games? They were originally rooted in like military games, you know, some of the like Hex Encounter games and things like that. That kind of evolved over time. The same way that became D&D, there was also this riffing on like a fantasy setting, and Warhammer was created. And then from there, 40K was created. 40K being a weird conglomeration of this grim, dark, very gritty future with some orcs and elves and things like that, but like if they were in space kind of thing. It has a very defined artistic style, very characteristic. You know instantly if it's 40K stuff. There's tons of rules, and there's new additions to the rules that come out constantly. And unfortunately, it's pretty predatory in that, like, you basically have to have the right rule set go with the right minis. So when they create a new edition, I think they're on like the 12th or 13th edition, all your like $200 army is not playable anymore, and you have to get a new one and make a new one kind of thing. On top of that, they release these codices, these codex books, that are like errata, basically, plus, you know, a paywall of sorts to further implement the different armies, the different factions as the game progresses. So there's like an upkeep if it wasn't enough that there was a continuous reset. Like for trading card game players, imagine that what were we going to say? Like every 2 years, there was a complete standard refresh. Like none of your cards were legal anymore, and your cards needed to be painted and cost like $200. I guess it's not that different from standard.
Compared to Magic the Gathering, it might almost be cheaper to be a Warhammer player.
Depending on how you're playing it, actually, it might be cheaper to play Warhammer than Magic. You know, I take it all back. Actually, Warhammer is great.
Which, like, if true, is kind of insane for Magic at this point, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, it's a cool game to experience because it is very simulationist, like some of the older war games. You have these charts where you're rolling these things, and you're not just rolling whether or not you hit with your gun, you're also rolling whether or not their army is able to withstand the hit, and you're rolling whether or not they were able to even dodge, where they don't have to worry about the armor, and then how much the damage was that they incurred after it penetrates the armor. Like, there's a lot of levels, and you kind of like have this minutia that creates a very representative indication of what the war would be like. You know, we're not talking campaign for North Africa levels of detail, but still it feels very immersive at certain levels. Combined with the fact that it's this like futuristic fantasy setting, you're like, this is cool. I can see what would have actually happened if the Space Marines fought off against the Chaos Elves or something like that. Mm-hmm. And you get a lot of that flavor evoked by playing the game. Not to mention, like, when you have a fully painted terrain and army, it's just beautiful. It's like immense table presence, which goes to the last reason this is on. As if this list wasn't daunting enough, I don't think it's enough to play Warhammer. I think to really, really experience any sort of minis game, you have to like do the painting too. The same way, like, it's kind of important to do some deck building if you're going to do an LCG or a CCG. I think it's important to have an idea of what army you want to build, craft around a specific faction and build that army, study up on their books, learn how they work and spend your points to create that army, buy the correct sets that go with those army, you know, miniatures, and then paint them, feel like you have your baby, you know, that you've learned the ins and outs of. There's a reason they call these games hobby games. They are a hobby in and of themselves that transcends even playing them. Playing them is, I would say, a very minor portion of the game. Like many things that we say on this list, I don't think it's for everyone, but I think the reason it's captivated so many people is because it combines the idea of play with the idea of craft, and you really are nurturing and becoming a part of this miniatures community when you play a game like this. I know you haven't gone too much into this, Tom, but like, you can empathize from the idea of deck building, right? Like there's this idea that like the game of Magic, the game of Netrunner is not just when you sit down to play at a table. It's also studying the meta. It's also going and crafting a deck where nobody expected you to use these cards together and things like that. And I think that's an aspect of minis culture that is completely separate from any other game listed on this list.
Yes, there's many layers of self-expression that can be experienced in this type of game in a similar way as the deck building game. Like you are saying, there's that level of craft to it. Would you say then that like Warhammer itself is not necessarily what is actually on this spot on the list? It is deep diving in any miniatures game, painting a figure and kind of going all out.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's a better definition of this spot.
I guess I have no excuses at this point. I don't know what it would be. Maybe I need to get a copy of Death May Die. I've not painted anything ever.
Yeah.
Time to explore it.
That's Warhammer 40K.
All right, Kenny, it's time to stop yapping. It's time to get down at brass tacks. It's time to get real. It's time to focus up. It's time to lock in. It's time to take the nonsense trash out.
It's time to get away.
And put it in the bin. It's time to get into the real meat and potatoes, the part of the episode that people skip ahead in the playlist to hear. This week, that topic, the meat and potatoes topic, the main idea, is one that I'm calling 2 greens and a red. Basically, I think I invented this game. Maybe I saw this somewhere, but I conflated 2 different ideas, technically, which is this trend of like, he's a 10, but he wears socks in the shower. It's like, what are you going to do?
Is that a real one?
Well, now I'm asking you.
I would have to know why.
He likes the way it feels to like peel him off at the end.
I think that's fine. It's a little weird, but that's fine. If it's like because it reminds him of the last person that he's killed, then I'd be like a little bothered, you know?
Okay. Speaking of this, you know what I still have not done for myself is had like a beer in the shower. That's apparently like a legendary sensation.
Yeah? It all comes down to intent, right? People can do weird things, but the reason why they do weird things is what matters.
I see. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's 2 things. It's why they do the weird thing, and then it's also, is it affecting others? If it's not affecting anyone and it doesn't have like some more concerning thing related to it, like by all means, be as weird as you want.
Yeah, what you're basically saying is you're not going to kink shame unless their reasons are bad, objectively false.
Yes.
Okay.
This is an inspirational episode.
Love it. So the other idea that I'm conflating this with is giving you a bunch of like almost like Subway hot takes, like quick reaction thing where I just say something and you say like red flag or green flag.
So basically you watched a lot of TikTok and your brain kind of melted the 2 together.
Yeah, I'm fully brain-rotted at this point. I'm skibbity-maxing, as they say. But here's the idea, right? I'm going to give you a game concept. I'm going to give you 2 things I think are green flags and then 1 red flag. And then you basically have to tell me if you would play it. And I think also like what your reaction to it is in general. I think it'll be funny.
Yeah, I think so. I'm ready for the worst, Tom.
Okay. It's an engine building game with an extreme amount of inter-player negotiation, right? You gotta argue and politic for the resources, build your engine. Sounds awesome so far, right? You're with me?
Yeah, that's like my jam. Hell yeah. You definitely are tailoring this to me.
It's published by Cryptozoic.
Oh no, Tom, this is so similar to one of mine. That's crazy. That's really funny. Oh my God. I'll tell you mine and we can just mutually talk about them because they're so similar.
Okay, sure.
Okay. It's an Uwe game.
Okay. I like
that has a stock economic market for the resources. That's somewhat negotiable where you can invest in things. I think you talked about this in one of the episodes. Like, why hasn't Uwe done this? I think this was when we talked about Bonanza. Yeah. But it's published by Renegade. Which is literally a spin-off from Cryptozoic.
Oh, no. I feel like Renegade, I'm more, like, gonna be okay with.
Agreed. Yeah, Renegade better than Cryptozoic from a design perspective. But Renegade also did the Power Rangers deck building game.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there. That was not Cryptozoic.
You're right.
Cryptozoic will make, like, a bare bones thing. Renegade will make something with some substance, but maybe the substance is a step backwards. They're different and the same.
Yeah. What's like the best thing that Cryptozoic's ever made? Oh, Love Letter Batman Edition, Spyfall.
I mean, some would say the DC deck building game, but like that's so bad. It's so bad.
It's not that good of a game.
Yeah, it's probably the top one on BGG or something, rank-wise.
By rank, Love Letter Batman is number 1, which, I mean, it's just Love Letter.
Do you even count that as them,
I would
though?
call it bad art because it's like, it's
They're just a
lazy
distributor
art.
at that point.
Yeah, you're right. The DC deck building game is its own design, but it's basically just Ascension.
It's like they co-opted Ascension and made it less interesting.
Yeah, I used to own that one. Spyfall, I'm actually surprised at like Spyfall having a 6.7.
I mean, I have a lot more respect for Spyfall than the DC deck building game.
Yeah, well.
Spyfall stresses me out, but like at least it's like a game, you know?
Yeah. They did GKR,
Anyway.
heavy hitters. I forgot about that.
I think that's also a distributor. The negotiation engine builder, I mean, you're talking like Sidereal, right?
Yeah, essentially, like it's Sidereal Confluence. Like, what would make it different, I suppose? It's DC characters. I'm kidding.
I don't mind theme too much, but like,
Right.
Here's the thing. Sidereal was published by WizKids, and WizKids has some bangers, but WizKids is also kind of in the same space as Cryptozoic. If you told me that, I would say, yes, I would play it. Are we saying green light? I think I'm conflating things now.
Yeah, you're saying green flag to this combo, I guess.
I'm saying green light to your 2 green flags and 1 red flag. If you're telling me a Sidereal-esque game, which I assume is shorter than Sidereal, but it's from Cryptozoic, I will absolutely give it a chance.
What if it's longer than Sidereal Confluence?
And then we're probably out. But I really doubt Cryptozoic would publish it. Because like WizKids has like Mage Knight and stuff, so it makes sense for them. But like Cryptozoic has never done a long thing.
Yeah,
That's
it
not
would
their
be
market.
like that's what I'm saying. I guess like it would be like so out of left field for them. You'd be like, what the hell?
But Sidereal was out of left field for WizKids, so like it's not completely unbelievable. I think it's a pretty reasonable pitch, honestly, Tom. Yeah, it's not going to happen anytime soon, but it could happen, you know. So
Stranger things have happened. It's true.
yeah. Oh, it'd be Stranger Things themed.
Oh, how
Negotiating with the Upside Down.
Yeah, we're looking for what, like psychic abilities in children.
We'll trade you some demon things for one of your psychic children.
Yeah,
What would you say to mine, real quick?
I'm already on board. I mean, yeah,
It is designed by Uwe. It's not an Uwe-like. It's like designed by Uwe. For some reason, Uwe partnered with Renegade.
Yeah, I feel like the Uwe pull is so strong. It's like, I'm just going to trust this man. Sorry.
Yeah, I think Uwe supersedes publisher.
But I think I got you with this one because it's going to be a similar concept
no.
here. Ready? All right, so Carl Chuddik.
That's already teetering. As much as I love Carl Chuddik.
He teams up with Reiner Knizia. Okay. Knizia Chuddik team up. Unheard of in the world of gaming. What are you thinking so far?
I think it's a less believable scenario than your previous one.
All right, it's not believable. That doesn't fucking matter, okay?
Okay.
You just, you see the tweet,
It's a hypothetical.
it's like a black box, and the title is just X'd out, and it says, Carl Chuddik, Reiner Knizia.
Chuddik only works with Cheslick, and Knizia works alone.
Okay, but it's published by Asmodee, and Cheslick signed off too. Cheslick's on there too.
Okay. That is an important note.
Okay.
Because Chuddik non-Asmodee is like Bear Valley, so.
Whoops. Okay,
So,
but
yeah,
it's like,
Chuddik-
and there's even like a pedigree to it, right? Knizia had an idea, and he couldn't quite get it over the edge, and then Chuddik was like, what if we added tucking? And it's like, boom, like, okay.
Okay.
But it's a trading card game. Collectible card game. Full booster packs.
This is so unbelievable, Tom. But absolute yes. Are you kidding me?
You would
Your red
actually
flag your red flag is not even like that bad. I'd complain about the gambling part, of course, but like I would still play it. Like
you're like, this business model could have my money if these names were attached.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I play less good games than a Chuddik Knizia collab that are trading card games all the time. So like this is like really not a big deterrent to me.
Yeah, I guess not. It's like, but how, like, I guess, like, would you be, like, mostly confused, right? I guess already that's the biggest issue here is you see all this stuff attached and you'd be like, why? Right? I guess at the same time, though, you'd be like, there must be something to it. How crazy would you go over this game, though, if, like, nobody played it and generally they thought it sucked? Would you be like, how did these guys get attached to this? Like, I have to figure out what they saw that was worth.
I mean, you're telling me to suspend my belief, but, like, I don't understand the scenario. It sounds like you just took things I love and mixed them with things I hate.
Okay, yeah, well, a little bit.
But, like, the other one felt believable, you know?
Okay,
I guess we're not rating these on believability, but...
All right. Well, here's another one, though. This one, I think, is believable. There is tucking as a mechanic, okay? Cards go behind other cards.
Yeah.
Okay? It's a push-your-luck fun game. Like, the whole family could have fun doing this. Somehow, it's like push-your-luck, and you're like... Yeah, it's like multi-use cards that you tuck behind other cards for some reason. It's almost great. Like a... What's that game called? Like Happy City? What's that card game called? Flip City. Kind of like that. But the artwork is all anime gooner shit. It's just like Tonto core.
Well, here's the problem, right?
Yeah.
It's probably not a game I'll play at game night because there are better tucking games. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to do that with my family. And for that, I'm out.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, I think that one's pretty easy to parse. Yeah, I see what you're saying with it, but like my problem is it would have to be better than like other multi-use card games for me to be like considering it. But as it stands, it's kind of like Tanto Core, where it's like, yeah, it's a pretty accessible deck building game, but I have no desire to play it with my family, and I also don't have a desire to play it with my friend group. So, do
you think it could fix itself if it did two things, where it had the like fun party style level of something like Jungle Speed, and also was just being a little bit ironic with the waifu-ness?
Yeah, I think if you tweak the parameters a little bit, like if you make it like self-aware waifu stuff, or maybe it's like cringe anime, just cringe, and not like over sexualize.
So basically it's Millennium Blades at this point.
You're not wrong. And or it had something about its multi-use gameplay-ish stuff that is like compelling or different from other games that we play, then yeah, I would say yes. But those are some big caveats that we're modifying the prompt with. All right. I got one for you.
Yeah, okay.
It's the reprint of Samurai that you've been waiting for. Okay. They've preserved the original theme. That's like the first part.
Wow.
The second green flag is they are doing a deluxe edition that is a wooden board with wooden pieces.
Okay.
Like you've been asking for, and we'll say it's within your price range. Here's the red flag.
Okay.
It's being published by Awaken Realms, and the entire STL files and the cards that they've added in, as well as any of the print materials, are all AI generated.
Oh, man. And
you can like clearly tell, like there's like a samurai with like 6 fingers on the cover of the box.
This is like free tier Chat GPT, like just
yeah.
Oh man,
the board is beautiful. It's like wooden. They actually did wood. It's not resin. It's not plastic. Like it's a wooden board because this is like their top tier. It's like the all-in tier or whatever.
It's like such an unhinged level of quality to like also like just but to save money or skimp out on.
But that's kind of Awaken Realms thing, right?
Yeah, I suppose. But they wouldn't manufacture to set up an entire like manufacturing process that includes wood carving is like unheard of, really.
We'll say they're doing the refurbished recycled wood that like CGE does.
I mean, honestly, just like I have so little trust in Awaken Realms. Like I just feel like I wouldn't even be inclined to back it at all, just because of like their brand name is just so sour for me personally already.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy you're saying that. But yeah, I'm like,
I'd order it, and then it turns out like all the pieces are fucking plywood or something. Like, you know, they just made the image on their Kickstarter to look like way better than it actually was.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think Awaken Realms, it's very much a smoke and mirrors thing to a certain extent. It's not even that the quality's bad. It's almost just like the usability is bad a lot of the time. Like, they didn't think about people playing the game when they make their stuff.
Look, if you're the creative director at Awaken Realms or whatever, and you're listening to this right now, like, we'll have you on the show. Like, we'll grill you on this a little bit, because it's like, why cut the corners when what you're trying to offer is a luxury product?
Like the best experience, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like people are not going to spend the money. You can up the price and get artists. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, people know they're going to be spending like a couple K when they're buying an Awaken Realms product.
I mean, I guess it's already cooked, but it's like, you could have created a legacy, really, of this. Because I think what a lot of people yearn for is, like, buy it for life level quality. Like, that's why, like, vintage thrifting is kind of become such a huge thing. It's because, like, those fucking fibers still last, bro. I could buy a brand new shirt at Walmart and it's going to fall apart in a week.
That is actually a very good example, Tom. Macklemore would be proud.
You're welcome, Macklemore. Okay, I got another one for you. Right. Civilization theme, it's like a 4X, like bit of a chonker, but it's like middleweight enough. Like, you can get it done with experienced players in like 2 hours, kind of.
Yeah, it's like Eclipse. Okay.
Yeah. Eclipse. Richard Garfield is the designer.
Okay. Yeah.
Whatever the theme you need right here, you know, keep that in your mind. It's one you like. And then Dan Thurrow drops his review and he's like, I hated it. That's the red flag.
I would still play it. Here's the thing with Dan Thurrow's reviews. Okay. I always enjoy reading them. I don't always agree with them on games that we've both played. I also don't necessarily think I will dislike a game because he said he didn't like it and I haven't played it yet. I think what Dan Thurrow does really well is that he evokes a sense of why he likes or dislikes certain things about a game. And he also creates really interesting conversations around what the game's intent is and what is compelling about a game or not compelling about a game. When I read a Dan Thurrow review, it's less about did he like it or not. It's more about what cool thing am I going to get from reading this review, even outside of the game itself. So I like the idea behind this, and that I'm like a Dan Thurrow stan and I'm just going to like agree with whatever he says. But I think honestly, I probably disagree with his takes on games more often than I do. It's close to 50, but it's probably like a 49 agree rate or something.
Okay. But then Amabel Holland also says it sucks.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Now it's like, I don't know. Like, there was a recent game where it was like Dan posted on Blue Sky, like, I love this. And then Amabel commented, like, I love this too. And then like So Very Wrong About Games was like, we love this game. And I was like, oh shit, I gotta play this.
I mean, that honestly is like a pretty good sign. It's total triumvirate there.
I do think it becomes more compelling and very different when like 3 people I like are all praising or dissing something.
Right. What if it was like Amabel hates it, Dan Thurrow says it's not great, and then Swag says it's fine? Like, where are you at there?
Oh, I don't know, Tom. That's so tricky. I think I would play it. I'd just be curious at that point. Isn't that basically Vantage? You're just talking about Vantage.
I guess so. Yeah.
Look, new game alert. Vantage was definitely the game I was the most curious to play this year, just because every person in the board game criticism space that I have, respect for either loved it or hated it. There was very few that were like in between. And I'm like, what is going on with this game? It's so odd, I'm not going to speak too much to my thoughts on Vantage because I would have to play it more. And on top of that, it's a new game. But like that piqued my interest. That made me want to go play it. So based on that, I think my answer would be I would still try it.
Basically, having polar reviews it's more of a blue flag. It's just a curiosity flag.
for sure. I'm like, oh, wait, it's the Last Jedi syndrome. I'm way more interested in a piece of art that is creating conversation versus a piece of art that people ubiquitously say is good, you know? Like I'm interested in both, but like I really, really am interested in that.
Yeah, something where you have to make up your own fucking mind about it, I guess. It's always a good place to be. Yeah, and we managed to make it through this episode, and we even got to invent a new color flag for this, so that's cool. I hope the internet takes that and uses it. Then maybe we could become famous. You know what? Write in. Tell us what you would construct. 2 green flags, 1 red flag. That's the concept, right? Make us want to play your game, and then tell us one thing that you think is going to make us go, uh-oh, like at the same time.
Uh-oh.
All right, that's going to do it for this week. Thanks for everyone who listens. Thank you especially to our Patreon supporters. You can subscribe to our Patreon for free if you didn't know. You get access to our monthly newsletter, but consider a paid tier for access to Discord, unedited episodes, and bonus content. It helps us make the show the best thing you could be listening to. It keeps things ad-free. Thank you to Michael, Tyler, Devon, and Josh of the Boise RainBeaus for your cool segue music, and thank you to Bonehouse for letting us use your song Rot as our opening theme.
Be sure to send in those 2 greens, 1 red flag, shelfstablecast@gmail.com. If you're loving the cast, share it with a friend, write a review, hit a thumbs up button. Doesn't matter which one. Just if you see a thumbs up button somewhere, if you see somebody do a thumbs up, you know,
press that button.
Tap their thumb.
You know what I hate? They got rid of dislikes on YouTube, and they changed the thumbs up to a heart.
Boo.
Now you're just TikTok.
Next week, we have a special potential guests, plural. So wait for that. We're going to be talking about convention maxing again. I guess this is a good time as any to say we will be at PAX U. That is the plan, unless something happens. So if you are going to be at PAX U too, hit us up. We'd be happy to hang out with you. You'll hear a little bit about that, as well as like what goes into making a convention on the next episode of Shelf Stable.
See you at PAX Unplugged in December. Bye.
Yeah, we will have episodes in between then and now. Bye, everyone.
See ya.